The actors are on strike. Yes, members of SAG-AFTRA, the union that represents actors and performers, have voted to go on strike and walked away from negotiations, and they've been on the picket line since July 13th. I'm Captain Kyle, and I'm going to explain what that means for both your viewing experience and your convention attending experience. So quickly, a little background. This strike is the second one to affect Hollywood, as the writer's strike is already in full swing. And the writers have been facing shrinking wages and revenue as studios have reduced working time for writers, and they've reduced or eliminated residuals for streaming series and movies. The writers are also looking for protection against artificial intelligence, not Skynet, but as AI has been already shown to be able to produce written works that can somewhat mimic real creativity, that's a problem. Now, the actors' strike is similar. While lots of people think of A-listers who are paid millions per movie, or popular series stars who get $1 million per episode, it's actually a very small percentage of working actors who receive really huge paychecks like that. The average is apparently between $49K and $73K a year, with some making much less. And that's pretty much in range with what a lot of people make. The majority receive a small amount for day play or background work, and even recurring characters and guest stars are often paid very little for their work. And while traditional television and syndication models of the past provided residual income for both actors and writers, streaming services have decided to write their own rules. They've been paying less upfront and often nothing based on the performance of the media, the show, the movie, whatever. That could mean that hit shows like Stranger Things, The Boys, Cobra Kai, and lots more give their actors and writers nothing more when hundreds of millions of people tune in. Doesn't seem fair. But actors are also concerned about AI. Now, we've already seen deepfake videos that are amazingly convincing, and actors are concerned that a studio might use AI to create computer-generated performances using their likenesses. We've seen it in Star Wars and other films where actors who are no longer with us have been recreated digitally, sometimes quite convincingly, and sometimes not. But often these recreations entail some compensation to the estate or the family of the actor who is depicted. Would that apply to every actor, though? There needs to be protection in place to keep studios from using AI to avoid paying actors for their performances by summing in a computer-generated likeness. Actors are often called back in for reshoots if during the editing phase they realize they need to change something or add something in, and those actors are usually compensated for these reshoots. But with AI, could they just change the performance without involving the actor at all? Maybe they could. But that isn't necessarily fair to the actor. Not to mention all the background workers who, if they were to scan their bodies, they could basically, instead of hiring extras, they could just digitally put in people wherever. And if they use their voice, they could have bit players played by computers. Again, the perception of actors by those unfamiliar with the industry is that, hey, you're in a movie or on TV, you must be rich. That is not the case for most of the actors. They are trying to make a living wage just like you and I. Plus, they are essentially independent contractors. They're constantly looking for a new job. Sure, they might get a role on a series, and they're there for several episodes, and then their character's killed off. Or they finish a movie, but there's no guarantee of a sequel or that they'll even be in the sequel. Many actors actually have other forms of revenue, actual jobs. They drive an Uber. And, of course, some of them go to comic conventions or horror cons or ones focusing on sci-fi or anime or video games. There's a lot of conventions. And how will this strike affect those appearances? Well, the good news is that actors can appear at most cons. This is according to the guidelines directly from the SAG-AFTRA website. Now, San Diego Comic-Con didn't really have actors there, as that event is generally set up to promote new shows and new seasons of shows and movies and stuff. And New York Comic-Con may be similarly affected. Now, I don't know about Fan Expo Events, which is a very large con organization, because in the past they've been sponsored by such studios as Disney and Netflix and Amazon Prime and Warner Brothers and all those guys. So I'm not sure. Will they have to cut ties with those studios for future shows? Will that be acceptable? I don't know. That's something that SAG has to figure out. However, there are a lot of conventions that are independent, or if they have sponsors, they're not sponsored by these studios. I'll be heading up to Terrificon soon, which is independently run, and actors will definitely be appearing there. Other shows such as Dragon Con and Momento Con and New Jersey Horror Con, Steel City Con, FanX Salt Lake, lots of others don't have ties to any of these struck studios. So actors are free to appear there. Also, Conventions like Long Island Doctor Who that feature actors from Britain won't be affected, as the UK has a different union for actors, which definitely supports a strike, but that union is not on strike itself. Now, some actors have chosen to cancel their appearances due to an overabundance of caution, but according to the rules, they can sign autographs, they can do photo ops, they can meet with fans. According to the rules I've seen on the SAG-AFTRA strike website, they'll only have headshots and other photos that don't depict them as a particular character, especially from properties owned by these struck studios. But that being said, if you bring action figures or pops or posters or something else that is related to a show that they've been in, they can sign it for you. As long as you are providing it and not them, that's fine. However, if an individual actor chooses not to sign such an item, you can't really argue with them. You can point out that SAG-AFTRA rules allow it, but they can still decide not to. Panels will be affected somewhat as well. Now, some actors may not choose to do panels at all. Those that do won't be able to talk about their projects, but they can talk about how they got into acting, their process, their inspirations, and other subjects. You know, maybe even have them do some impressions. Ross. However, according to the rules, television animation and video games are not affected by the strike. So voice actors, many of them can still talk about the roles they did for television and video games. However, if they worked on animation for streaming services, that's probably not up for discussion. Also, some voice actors also appear in live action roles, and they won't be able to talk about those. Still, pop culture conventions are a great way to meet your favorite actors, and it's a good way to support them by buying autographs and photos. In fact, some actors who may not have attended conventions before may actually start attending. So cons are on, just with some limitations. And, you know, we can hope the strike ends soon, though I have heard about some studio execs wanting to starve out the writers and the actors on strike, put them in a desperate situation so they're forced to accept a contract that still allows the studios to pay them very little. And I really hope the morons who voice that particular strategy are fired. Because first of all, many actors are already having trouble making ends meet because of the low pay and lack of residuals, so they're already there. What are you threatening? And such tactics aren't exactly going to endear these studios to the millions of fans of these writers and actors. They may think people are still going to tune in for popular properties anyways. You know, they need their fix. But if you think piracy is a problem now, a lot of people don't illegally obtain shows and movies because they want to support the actors and the creators. But if you take that incentive away, a lot of folks may very well start getting their fix through methods that don't give the studios a dime. Now, I'm not advocating illegal activities. I'm just stating a truth. This could very well happen. What I actually am advocating is the studios come to the negotiation table in good faith and with understanding and empathy for these people who work for you and without whom you can't produce anything. Otherwise, you may see a very sharp decline in those profits that you love so much. Take care of those writers and actors and they'll take care of you. It's simple. But as fans, there is another way that we can help our friends who are on strike. The Entertainment Community Fund is a charity that you can give to, which helps those in the industry who are experiencing financial hardships. Now, I put the link in the charity right in this video and in the description, and every little bit helps. You may not be able to get to a con and help them directly. You may not be able to afford a cameo, but even a couple bucks will help. And it helps not just the actors and the writers, but all the behind-the-scenes people with whom there wouldn't be any shows or movies at all. Now, I will be reporting on any updates as this situation continues, and I may be back with some videos talking to striking actors and writers to get their perspective on it. Now, usually I end my videos by saying have fun and follow your fandom, which is great, but now I think it's more appropriate to ask that you support your fandom and the creators that are essential to bringing it to you. Those writers, those actors, and everybody else, support them. This is Captain Kyle. I'll see you next time.